am I? Oh, right. You. What's your master scheme this time? And wait, didn't you try to stab me? No. No, not that one. Anything but that one. Fine. Can I at least get a couple drinks? Ah, okay. At least you know you need liquor to get through this one, too. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Confused Reviews, where a cartoon drawing gets captured in real life by fictitious serial killers and forced to talk about their terrible sequels. And what do you do when your series makes an average but respectful final installment that kills off the main villain and also leaves our broken protagonist with a sense of hope for the future? That's right, make one too many and create one of the worst horror movies of all time just because the last one made a bunch of money, otherwise known as Halloween Resurrection. Halloween H20 was a decent enough movie for what it was, mostly killing off Big Bad Mikey and letting Laurie Strode finally have closure on her lifelong torment her jumpsuit-wearing, Star Trek cosplaying brother caused her on Halloween night 1978. Although I don't love the movie as much as others, I do respect it for giving the series a proper conclusion instead of letting it slowly die like other series did. Well, that is before it died a slow death in this movie, telling the story of another batch of teens that break into the Myers house to film a reality show worse than fucking Jersey Shore. And obviously Michael shows up to hobble his way through his final movie in the original series. So I guess there's nothing more you can do besides go through in excruciating detail why this movie is wrong. I mean, hell, you knew we were in trouble when they used the most cliche subtitle around. This is Halloween Resurrection. So the film begins with Laurie Strode, played once again by Jamie Lee Curtis, sitting around and moping, probably because she read this movie's script. In reality, after the events of the last movie, they locked her up in the loony bin.
Sister of Michael Myers.
Michael Myers, the serial killer?
No, the other one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're only 5 minutes into this movie, and we're greeted with what might be the dumbest thing in any horror movie ever, including Troll 2 and, the other one we don't talk about. So, you may be wondering, how did Michael come back after Laurie chopped off his head? Well, turns out... When Michael got taken down and they left him alone, a single paramedic was left to inspect a notorious serial killer who bounced back to life, crushing his voice box, and led on being Michael up to the point where Laurie decapitated him. I'm not even joking. That's the best they could come up with. This scene and scenario is so stupid, I feel it only right to go through the countless reasons this is retarded in great detail. 1. Why would they leave one paramedic alone with a serial killer that's known to be hard to kill and has also been on the loose for 20 years? I'd have the fucking SWAT team surrounding the corpse, just to be safe. 2. The medic is clearly way shorter and stubbier than Michael Myers, so why would anyone believe that's him? If you're gonna use this stupid scenario, at least have the actor slightly resemble the character. 3. This is obviously the mask used in this movie and not the one in H20. You're telling me not one person on set noticed that? That'd be like me referring to the 1978 original, but having Michael wear the mask from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's distracting and stupid. 4. Why the fuck didn't the guy just take off the fucking mask? They say Michael crushed his voice box. That doesn't mean he would suddenly turn into the guy and replicate his movements and indestructible body. He gets launched out a windshield, hit by a van, and crushed up against a tree, and still didn't make any attempt to flail his arms for help or act like anyone other than Myers. 5! This I could accept if there weren't all the previous reasons, but I still feel like it needs mentioning. You're telling me that this paramedic and Michael Myers suddenly have the same eyes and hands. Impossible? No. Unlikely and clearly poor writing and an idiotic continuity oversight? Yes. So yeah, Laurie's locked up and waiting for another Halloween sequel to happen, and she even hides medication inside Annabelle here. And in the basement, Mikey continues his hatred for the security guard profession, as one of the guards notices his buddy's head inside the washing machine. Come on, Michael, you're gonna turn all the sheets Thanos colored, or even worse, you'll pull a My Bloody Valentine. Michael breaks down a door because he's done that before, and Laurie hits him with a lamp and makes chase to the roof, and uses a trap to semi-stop Michael, but why does he react to the rope around his leg like an inept toddler? He even drops his knife. What are you doing? Red, what'd he just do?
Just hung vacancy signs on your asses, and my foot's looking for a room.
Exactly, and to make matters worse, Laurie suddenly has second thoughts about killing him, as he begins panicking as if it wasn't the real Michael Myers. Even if it wasn't, he still came to the hospital just to fuck with you, Laurie, so regardless, the prick deserves to die. So yeah, Laurie ends up getting stabbed by her big brother due to sheer negligence, and she's finally killed.
I'll see you in hell.
Tell him Freddy sent you.
Bye, have a beautiful time.
And in case you somehow enjoyed any of that opening, some weirdo patient named Harold, played by Gus Lynch, is a fan of serial killers and is overjoyed by receiving his knife as a gift, and recaps Mikey's life for some reason, but honestly, I know someone who'd appreciate the knife way more.
Yeah, what the fuck, Michael? I thought we were friends. You think your old pal Eric here doesn't want a souvenir? Instead, you're gonna give the knife that killed Jamie Lee Curtis's career to fucking Rain Man over there? Why does he deserve it? Just because he's dressed like a clown? What does that bring back the feels for you when you were a little kid? Or maybe he's framing this guy, which kind of makes sense. He's a psycho obsessed with serial killers. Micah goes in there and gives him the fucking evidence. He's like, here you go, you hang on to it. Put your fingerprints on this. So maybe it was really Michael being extremely smart, but still, when the fuck is there a Halloween movie where Michael Myers doesn't kill people? He goes into this room and I think, oh, he's gonna stab the shit out of this fat clown, and no, instead he gives him a parting gift, and then later on, he freaking gets confronted by Busta Rhymes in a Michael Myers costume, and he doesn't kill him. He listens to his orders, and he turns around and he walks away. Fuck this pilot turds movie. You know what? No, just go back to the review. I can't talk about this movie. It inflames my ulcers. I get just upset, and I can't. I gotta take my medicine and have a drink. Back to you.
He brings up some good points, and anyways, back to the movie. That was just the opening scene, and I think it's awful. I mean, killing off the biggest player in the Halloween series aside from Loomis with no respect or care? What a crock of shit. Loree deserved better and shouldn't have been shit-canned so easily, in the opening no less. But how would you change it, Luke? What would you do to fix it? Well, I'm glad you asked, handsome stranger. Before I discuss the rest of the movie, here's a few possible ideas they could have used instead of making a god-awful piece of garbage. 1. Don't make another one at all. Well, H20 made $50+ million, so yeah, that's not gonna happen. 2. I know it didn't happen, but try the no Michael Myers idea again. There's so many ideas that they could have done with something horrifying happening on Halloween, and could have made a great avenue for smaller directors to make horror movies that'd be seen by more people than it most likely would have otherwise. I know they talked about it, so why didn't they fucking pursue it? Trace. Loree is enjoying her retirement after finally stopping Michael Myers, but back in Haddonfield, murders start up again, and the town's teens seek out Mrs. Strode to come back to her hometown to help. Loree, now taking a Loomis-like role, must help them stop the killer, who might be Michael, or might just be another copycat who's obsessed with Michael's legacy. 4. Don't fucking make another... Oh wait, I already said that. 5. Maybe wipe the slate clean, establish new characters who are attacked by a new killer who's built up as Michael throughout the film, only to subvert your expectations in the final act. 6. Maybe after killing Michael Myers, Loree begins to have psychotic thoughts, and once Halloween rolls around again, she kills someone. Maybe her dumbass kid or some trick-or-treater who happened to come to her house at the wrong time. She gets locked up in a mental asylum, and murders of the patients begin there as well. And it asks the question, is Michael back? Or is Loree gone full-blown psycho because of her mentally fucked up life? And it could be a great character study of what happens to the mind after 20+ years of torment. So yeah, basically a more thought out, better made, and white horseless version of this. It's just an idea. Anyways, back to the real movie. We arrive to a college lecture with the kids from Everybody Wants Some on the other side of the room, and we meet our edgy, cool protagonist Sarah, played by Bianca Kajlich, and Jen, played by Katie Sackhoff, as well as Rudy, played by Sean Patrick Thomas, who were all chosen to be a part of some shitty reality show. And we also meet Scott, played by Billy Kay, and Miles, played by Ryan Merriman, who's IMing Sarah, because this was the early 2000s, but this guy doesn't exactly strike me as Prince Charming, so I assume he gets the same amount of responses as Dwight.
Dwight Schrute.
Pam left her iPod at her house. I want you to swing by, pick it up, and bring it to the hospital. We need it yesterday.
Then why didn't you ask me to do it yesterday? I kept IMing you how bored I was.
Okay.
Sarah rides over to a shady motel, and we can knock out the rest of the characters, as the rest of the contestants are there, like Jim, played by Luke Kirby, Donna, played by Daisy McCracken, and reminds me of another Donna, and finally Bill, played by Thomas Nichols. Oh, and how could I forget, Freddy, played by notorious Oscar-winning actor Busta Rhymes. Fuck. I love the guy's music, but damn, why did they have to pick him?
I wasn't a fan of the horror film genre, but going way back. I wasn't a fan of the horror film genre, but going way back.
I wasn't a fan of the horror film genre, but going way back.
Fuck! They interview the future body count, and they're being conducted by Nora, played by Tyra Banks, because whatever. And we see Sarah's got some serious pipes, and... That's what I'm Later, Sarah shows up at Freddy's room, and he acts like he's reading his lines for the first time on cue cards, and she tries dropping out, but of course she doesn't. The next day, the girls are picking out their costumes and slip in this little detail.
Did you see the boogeyman or something?
The boogeyman? How very Jungian.
Dr. Mixter's class? I'm taking that course too.
Didn't Dr. Mixter die in Halloween 2? Of all people to mention, you mention a dead guy? What's next? One of them is dating Ben Tramer? Or maybe that Jimmy guy? Idiots. We bounce back to American Pie 7 as Miles just ditches his internet crush's first episode to instead get shit-faced at a party. With how this movie's going so far, I don't blame the guy. They start setting up shop in the Myers house, and if I have to give this movie anything, at least the Myers house looks like the Myers house, and not a blue mansion like in Halloween 5. Some generic technician gets startled by Michael, who he assumes is playing a prank on him, so he just allows Michael to rip off a kill from Peeping Tom, and stab him in the neck with the sharp leg of a tripod. Hey, if Rick Rosenthal is going to come back for another sequel, why not update an off-screen yesteryear classic kill? Because it looks like shit, but who cares? At least we got a solid minute of Tyra Banks dancing. Yeah. The gang arrives at the house and explains their show is basically the plot of Ghost Adventures, where they'll be locked inside the house until morning, with some fake shit set up to happen throughout. They all split up and look around the abandoned residence, and Cyborg's brother sets up where Michael will get his knife from. At least the first knife of like 1,000. Back with the Pointless Bee story, they dress up like Vincent and Jules. No joke.
Hey Miles, you think anyone will know we're supposed to be from Pulp Fiction?
And Miles sets up shop in some room to watch the show, because Scream had a scene once where characters talk about scary media. And it looks like they busted out that HD quality for the show. Okay, this was the early 2000s and internet video was primitive, so I'll let it slide. For now. They investigate the upstairs like Elise and Insidious, and Michael notices Jen showed a little skin. Uh-oh, red alert! Red alert! She's fucked! Because we all know Michael hates premarital sexual exploits. The broadcast goes down, and Billy Bob busts in with some random chick, and they stop getting hot and heavy to watch some random internet show? Yeah. Okay.
Like that's ever gonna happen. Oh, Lord.
We get some more riveting banter with, I guess, the teenage Bruce Banner and Black Widow? But thankfully, it's interrupted by Jen screaming. Which obviously leads to nothing.
Gotcha! Hi, bitch. Slut!
Fuck. Shit.
Penis breath!
Dick.
Shit!
Motherfucker! Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat.
If only that's what they actually said.
There are some more people who ought to be strapped into chairs and beaten with hammers.
Freddie and Nora enjoying some of that good shit, while Bill gets attacked by Mikey, who stabs him in a scene so poorly edited, I think they just threw every clip they had of the scene into a blender, threw on some shitty filters, and just ended it with Michael stabbing the dummy head. Safe to say, it sucks. Rudy, Sarah, and Lisa from the room here discover more clues, like Michael didn't know how to color inside the fucking lines, and Jim and Donna find a key to the Ninja Turtles' lair, only to discover a weird sex dungeon down below. You guys remember when the only backstory for Michael Myers was that he was a normal, everyday kid who snapped on Halloween night and killed for no rhyme or reason?
Michael?
Yeah. Me too, but apparently the idiots who made this movie didn't realize that. I mean, what average suburban house has a room like this with an entrance that looks like Indiana Jones would crawl into it? I get maybe having an underground bunker, but not a weird torture chamber. And before we can catch our breath, the two start getting busy, but the wall collapses, revealing some skeletons inside that Freddy placed there. So does that mean he built this weird underground room? And if he did, why would he spend all that money for an internet reality show? Weird. We then see Michael Myers start moseying his way around the house, only for another Michael to follow close behind. Now, there's a lot of scary and actually entertaining ways they could have gone about this, like maybe a copycat killer broke into the house trying to imitate Myers, and therefore the real one would stab the fuck out of him. Maybe another one of his relatives is trying to take up the mantle and halfway through actually kills the real one, or maybe the reality show hasn't been killing people at all, and the two stunt guys they had hired to scare and capture the contestants until there was one left actually bumped into each other. But no. The real Myers is following Busta Rhymes, who is screaming at him inside the mask, and it's the worst.
I'm playing Michael Myers. If them kids come around and see us dressed up in the same shit, you're gonna ruin the whole effect. God damn it.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that, Private Pile?
Seeing a respected rapper trying to be threatening while yelling inside a Halloween mask is something I didn't think I'd witness in this lifetime. I was wrong.
The hell is wrong with you? I said, what you looking at me like that for? Huh?
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think with fly, think.
Oh, and behind the wall of fake bodies, Donna notices there's even more space behind that, and it looks like Michael's been, like, squatting in this weird hallway under his childhood home, which is kinda interesting and reminds me of a worse version of Friday the 13th Part 2, but shit like this makes Michael look like a retarded child. They never established a weird childlike mentality of Michael in the first one, or the second, or any of the fucking movies. So why are they doing it now? Anywho, Donna gets chased by Michael through the apparent catacombs under his house, which, I'm gonna drink the pain away, and she gets stuck on a Halloween City prop gate and Michael impales her on a spiked part of it. At least I think so. It's edited so sloppily, I'm not 100% sure. Sarah sees Michael, who lets her escape, only to meet up with Rudy, and she then gets taken away, only for Jim to smash him over the head to finally realize Freddy faked all of it, which is really fucking stupid considering that now, 30 seconds later, when the real Michael shows up, nobody, including the audience, is scared because they all think it's Freddy. Making this once intimidating horror villain nothing more than a guessing game of who's behind the mask. It's only when Jen gets decapitated that anyone starts to pay any attention. But I mean, it's kinda her fault. She did just kinda awkwardly stand there when he confronted her. Dumbass. Jim gets killed by Mikey soon after by just... I don't know, holding his head in a funny way, because there's no cracking or crunching sound, so maybe Michael put a voodoo spell on him or some shit. Rudy, now face to face with Michael, tries to kill Bill his goofy ass, but he gets stuck in a corner, only to get pinned up against the wall, and he finds the millionth drawer in the house with a knife in it, and makes sure the structural integrity of the kill is sound. That or he really likes The Legend of Zelda. And in case you thought the Pulp Fiction Costume B story was pointless, you were right, but he does help Sarah locate Michael. She hops out the window and Michael takes down the umpteenth door only to get her legs sliced up for no reason, and she's back in the house within a minute. Okay, let me recap and try to figure this out. She willingly got onto the roof of a 2-story house only to look dumbfounded at the revelation that it is in fact high off the ground, and she just stood there, allowing Michael to get close to her, crippling herself for the finale.
Not a great plan.
She meets up with the only survivor, Freddy, who pushes Michael down, only to get thrown across the room like a fucking rag doll.
So you want to be on Dangertainment? Let's see what you got.
And in case you were curious, the sudden explanation we're given for Freddy's martial arts mastery is one 30-second scene earlier of him watching kung fu movies. Yes, because in that line of thinking, I'm as skilled as Bruce Lee in martial arts because I've seen Enter the Dragon. Michael manages to get himself knocked out of the window and hanged, but this is Michael Myers we're talking about, so obviously he cuts the wire and is still alive. This movie's Ned tells them that he's back in the house, but where? Why did Mikey just stand there waiting for them to notice? I mean, he still stabs Freddy for sure, but that's fucking dumb. Sarah does the fun thing every N-girl does, which is find all the previous victims, but again, half of the scene is filmed on a fucking potato and looks like trash. Anyways, she escapes, blah blah blah, we find out Tyra Banks is dead, and she eventually whips out a chainsaw to attack him. And just like Ginny in Friday the 13th Part 2, it runs out of gas. But even worse, the dumbass catches the garage on fire. So she just, throws the chainsaw at Michael.
Nice.
And the place begins to look like where Freddy died once upon a time, and just when you think all hope is lost, someone returns to deliver one of the worst lines ever put to film.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Thank you. You're too much. Take all the awards.
Trick or treat, motherfucker, motherfucker. Trick or treat, motherfucker, motherfucker. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
In all seriousness, did anyone on set think that would be a cool or intimidating line?
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Me neither. Freddy then hits Mikey a few times, who just stands there doing nothing until he electrocutes Michael Myers in the dick, which sends him flying backwards into more wires, catching him in them and burning the mute fuck to a crisp. Just barely. So yeah, Sarah and Freddy made it, and he finally destroys a camera. If only they would have done that an hour and a half ago. Oh, and in case you thought this movie would end any differently than any other slasher flick, you'd be wrong, as in the final shot, he opens his eyes for one last cheap jump scare. Fuck! And that was Halloween Resurrection, and in case you couldn't tell, I hated it. Never would I expect a movie to be so broken and bad that I'd rather be watching Halloween 6, because at least half of that movie wasn't filmed like this. It's hard to point my finger at one specific detail on why this movie sucks, because everything in it is just shit. Laurie Strode didn't deserve to be killed in such a disrespectful way, and sucks that Jamie Lee Curtis was contractually obligated to return for one scene, only to die. Fucking Freaky Friday treated her better. The plot was yet again trying to be another cutting-edge post-Scream movie, but unlike that movie, where there was actual talent and passion put into it, this movie feels like the script was written on a napkin in an afternoon. I mean, Busta Rhymes? Really? Like I said, love the guy's music, but you could tell he didn't want to be there, and for that matter, nobody in this movie looks like they gave a shit in any capacity. There was nothing scary to be found here. Any tension that could have been was destroyed by shitty performances and terrible editing and camera work. And on that note, why was it edited like a music video? Hell, people give Rob Zombie flack for most of his movies looking like a music video, but I've seen music videos and his movies that make more sense than this. I honestly have trouble trying to piece together what the hell is happening in some scenes, and to make matters worse, not one kill stands out or is worth talking about anyway. Probably because there was no gore or any innovative techniques used. The music was generic, and I couldn't tell you how any of the tracks went aside from the classic Halloween theme if I had a gun to my head. I also think this movie is the perfect example of a series making one movie too many. Sure, there were duds in the Halloween series already, but H20, while average and not too glorious in my opinion, was a great end to the series and Laurie Strode. But because it made a profit, the studios had to shit out one more sequel and ruin anything H20 did. I mean, you know a movie fucked up when I made up a bunch of alternate ways to make this movie better on the fly, and that would probably have made a better movie than the one we got. I probably sound like a goddamn skipping record, having to explain why John Carpenter's Halloween is a horror masterpiece. Fantastic performances.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
Amazing tension. Terrifying atmosphere.
I'll kill you if this is a joke.
A seemingly mindless killer with no known motive. And of course, one of the best soundtracks of all time. And what's worst of all for me is that a series that started off with one of the best horror movies of all time, and my personal favorite, has so many worthless, shitty sequels. This one in particular being the absolute fucking worst. There's nothing good in this movie, and I really tried to give it the benefit of the doubt going into this movie again, but it was even worse than I remembered. Shit performances, no scares anywhere, a terrible end to the franchise, and there's no reason to waste your time watching this movie. Obviously, I'm going to give Halloween Resurrection a big, fat, fucking F.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Stay away at all costs so you don't lose your sanity and dignity like I did watching this worthless, despicable movie. And I never want to lay my eyes on this pile of shit ever again. Well, how was that, Mikey? So, what now? What? You're letting me go? Wait a second. What the fuck? Whoa. How long was I gone for? What the fuck? What a weird review it's been. Ugh. Well, now that I've taken on one of the worst horror movies of all time, and I need to take a look at a good movie now. A cult classic. One about an evil book and a guy named Ashley. I'm Confused Reviews. Thanks for watching. Like, seriously, every aspect of this movie is just fucking horrible. There's not one redeeming quality, and this movie makes Halloween 6 look like the Citizen Kane of fucking slasher movies. If I could, I would take a time machine back to 2001 and stop this If I could, I would take a time machine back to 2001 and stop this horrendous piece of shit from ever being created. I swear to God, I fucking hate this movie. Don't ever watch it. It's the cinematic equivalent of fucking cancer. Okay, maybe I'm going a little too far.